Hello and welcome to the Musical Instrument Investigator. Today on the website of Oger Blanchet Auctions based in France, we're going to have a look at one of their latest auctions which contains some musical instruments. Not many, but a few interesting ones. So this auction is finishing on the 30th of April. It's the 23rd today, so a few days left to go. I'll put a link to this in the description. And they have about 27 musical instruments which are quite interesting. Now I'm not entirely sure, but I think the buyer's premium is about 24% for this auction. It's a little bit unclear, but something around that. So you need to add 24% to the hammer price, and that's what you'll pay. Just to remind everyone that this is a French auction, so bear that in mind if you're looking to bid, import, export fees, etc. CITES restrictions, all of that fun shipping stuff, especially if you are outside of France. So there's obviously a lot of art and other stuff in this auction, but there are also some musical instruments. So without further ado, before we get into it, just like to say, if you do enjoy these videos, please consider subscribing, like, comment, turn on notifications, etc., because it really does help. So like I said, about 27 items in this auction that are musical instruments, but some pretty good ones, so I think worth having a look at. So yeah, the first thing we've got here, we've got a viola d'amore, 3,000 to 5,000 euros on that. They called it the Love Viola. Interesting. It's got a interesting label there. Label Pietro Gio Fratelli, Montegazza, Nella Contrada, Sanda Margherita in Milano. Late 18th century or 19th century there. So it was the collection of Monsieur Philippe Dupuy there. So let's have a quick look at this in a bit bigger format. So there's the front image there, not super detailed, and there's a picture of the head, that kind of like blind kind of angel or child that is quite common. Looks interesting, not very many pictures though, which is a little bit disappointing, but definitely an interesting item. We carry on, we've got a hurdy-gurdy with a Lambert iron mark. Once again, just one sole picture there, so that's kind of a little bit disappointing. 2,000 to 3,000 on this one. This is second half of the 18th century, another Dupuy collection there. Then we've got another one here. This one's got a Pierre Louvet iron mark, 1,500 to 2,000 on this one. Let's have a look at a zoomed in picture of this. Yeah, quite an interesting one there. Shame that there aren't more pictures, to be honest. Right, we have a guitar with an Augustin Clodeau label, which is interesting there. Miracle 19th century, it's had some restorations, etc. Once again, real shame that we aren't seeing more images of these, but quite an interesting one. Needs a lot of restoration. Quite nice bridge there, and just in general fairly interesting guitar, and 500 to 800 euros, not unreasonable. And we have another violin here with a label Colin, or Collat even, Luthier Rue de Fosses at Paris, 1808, Hippolyte Collat. Let's have a quick look at this as well. 300 to 500 on that. So it's more similar bridge here. Interesting styling there. Let's see what else we have here. Non-original neck and tailpiece. So it's had some modifications there. Another guitar. Ironmark Luxembourg à Paris, 19th century there. Let's see what else we can see. Yeah, once again in fairly bad condition there. Romantic guitar, probably GATL, 400 to 600 on this, so nothing too crazy. And we've got a cittern here, Ironmark Gérard de la Plaque à Lille, so 3,000 to 5,000 on that 18th century. Missing bits. This is a more kind of fancy-ish cittern, although it's in a fairly not the greatest condition. Shame not to see the back as well, but interesting nevertheless. 3 to 5 seems maybe a bit optimistic. Right, romantic guitar, stamped Breton à Paris, early 19th century. It's actually fairly interesting looking model. Shield there on the headstock. I do really like this kind of French, like multi lined kind of purfling and rosette. Really interesting bridge. Quite like this. It's a shame we can't see the back, because that would have been interesting. 1,000 to 1,500 on that. I think it's not unreasonable, to be honest. I think that's fair. Right, a Milanese Mandora, 13 ribs. Now this is very interesting. 1,500 to 2,000 here. Italy, 18th century. I definitely agree with that. So another one from the Dupuis. Real shame that we can't see the back on this, because that would be a really nice instrument to look at the back, but needs obviously substantial restoration, but a nice instrument there, so that's pretty cool. And we've got another kind of Milanese looking mandolin there, although this one has a rocker label for Genoa, but it's that kind of Milanese style. Oh, we've got more than one picture on this one, so that's good. We at least get to see it from a slightly different angle. There you go, we can see some of the stuff. Yeah, fairly nice. Looks like it's got a scalloped fingerboard actually. If we have a look at that a bit closer, we seem to have lost the full size. Yeah, it looks like it's scalloped. If we look at the side view again, yeah, it's a scallop. Look, either that or it's being played like a ridiculous amount, but yeah, interesting that one. So tailpiece is a bone plate. Damage and missing parts. 500 to 800, I think euros. I think that's fair. So, right, we've got a theorbo lute with 11 ribs. So, early 20th century. It's kind of similar to the kind of Swedish ones. 5 to 600 on that. Let's have a look. Yeah, nothing too crazy, to be honest. 5 to 600. Theorbo lute guitar, Germany, 20th century. Once again, kind of curious looking shape actually, and this extension here, but once again it's nothing too crazy. 3 to 500 on that. One of these very standard guitar lutes there, Gold Kang, is just one of the standard ones. 300 to 500. I think that's even a bit much really. This is nice. This is a theorbode cittern, or I forget the exact name of this, but like some kind of cithara or something like that, or I think citarone or something like that sometimes gets called, but interesting anyway. Maple and ebony theorbode cittern, Sébastien Renaud à Paris. It's interesting. 18th century. Yeah, 4 to 6. Yeah, I don't think these are common at all, so this is quite an interesting one. Once again, it'd be nice to see the back of this, but yeah, needs some restoration, but that's an interesting instrument. 4 to 6. So I don't think that is unreasonable. Got a harp here, 31 string leather harp, sold by Joe Morley harp maker from Erard, Sussex Place, South Kensington, 19th century. Okay, 2 to 300. That seems really low. Seems exceptionally low. It clearly needs some work. Right, red and gold lacquered harp, iron marked, Nademan in Paris, 1,500 to 2,000 there. Let's have a look at this. Nice looking instrument. Yep, that's quite interesting. Right, we've got a serpent here, 19th century. That's pretty cool. 3 to 500. Rosewood Ofimon side here. So that's kind of a curious looking one. Marked on the bell, Kofet Fi Egisors. And that's kind of curious. P to 500. I'm not even entirely sure how to even pronounce that, to be honest, but it's pretty curious. And I think that there is another one here as well, so definitely out of my musical instrument comfort zone on these, but definitely curious looking. Right, guitar violin, probably by Shano in maple. Guitar violin, okay, 2 to 3000. Damaged and missing parts, so it does seem to be kind of in that style. It looks similar to some of the other ones that are around. 2 to 3 on that. Right, a mellophone with rosewood and maple body. See these in museums sometimes. I don't think I've seen these come up for auction too much. This one's from a different collection of Charles Bourgogne Dumontel there. So 1,000 to 1,500 on that. Pretty curious looking items here. So I've seen a few of these in museums before, but I don't recall seeing one at auction. 1,000 to 1,500. That seems pretty fair. Guitar with a Mossier à Paris label there. So 5 to 600 on that. Yeah, fairly nice condition, but nothing too crazy. Rosewood bassoon with 10 keys, bearing the Savary mark in Paris. This bassoon is said to have been played at the first performance of Hector Berlioz's Symphonie Fantastique. Okay, interesting. So that's quite curious. And let's see what else we got here. Right, we're on to pianos here. So we've got a rare and probably unique square burr model forte piano by Henri Pape in original condition, 1836. Wow, 5 to 6,000. I just can't get over the fact how criminally undervalued some of these instruments are. It really is quite ridiculous. That's a very beautiful looking instrument for sure. So that's nice, very nice indeed. And square mahogany veneered forte piano inscribed Christopher Gaynor. Interesting, 1784. 1,500 to 2,000. That's once again pretty criminal indeed. Looks like it needs a bit of TLC, but interesting. And let's carry on. Another square pianoforte there, inscribed Frederick Beck, London. Okay, interesting. 800 to 1,200. It's just absolutely crazy how low value some of these are. But unfortunately, that's just the way things go sometimes. Anyhow, I think that is the last of the musical instruments. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, quite an interesting set of musical instruments in this auction. A few curious things for sure. Definitely worth checking out. I recommend it. So the instruments, I think, start on the second page and they go a little bit onto the third page. So I'll put a link in the description. Actually, sorry, just on the second page they are. And if anyone knows anything about any of the other instruments or I've missed anything, which is probably quite likely, do let me know. But this one I thought was a bit more interesting than usual. Unfortunately, not so many pictures, but I'm sure you can ask them for additional pictures. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching once again, really appreciate it, and I'll catch you next time. Ciao.